If you are considering buying a tent, there's a few things related to materials that are good to know. We are going to take a look at two different examples of how to achieve waterproofness in a tent with different textiles, different coatings and different ways to make seams. Then there's of course in general different constructions in tents. There are dome tents, like we have two dome tents here today. Then there are tunnel tents and teepee tents and different kind of shelters. So first off, we have a 20-year-old Jack Wolfskin dome tent that is a polyester tent with a PU, polyurethane coating. And as can be seen from the video already, the colors of the fabric has faded and the waterproofness has been worn to almost non-existent today. So that's a weakness of the polyurethane coating. It's cheaper than other more expensive versions. It's cheaper to make, but it's going to wear out a lot quicker. Also more prone to UV radiation. So taking a look inside at the seams. The seams from inside, they have been taped, and here you can see a weakness of taped seams. Maybe most customers are not expecting to have their tents around for 20 plus years with a taped seams kind of tent, but if you want to have a longer lasting tent, then you need to look for another kind of alternative that we will be looking at in a moment. So you can buy new tape that you can apply to these seams, because these seams are no longer waterproof. So this was a very cheap tent from the beginning. It was under 200 euros. And really it's been a blast, and it was a tent that introduced me to the outdoors, and made it possible for me to do kayaking and living on small islands in the archipelago and providing adequate shelter. So that's a polyester tent with PU coating that's almost non-existent today, and taped seams. It's basically trash today. It can't really withstand any tougher winds. I wouldn't trust this fabric anymore. I guess it would tear apart in a storm. So moving on to another kind of way of building a tent. Hilleberg Solo here, and it's a nylon tent with a silicone coating, and Hilleberg is making the fabric in the way that the nylon in itself is not the strong part, but laminating it with 3 layers of 100% silicone on the outer side, also on the inside. That's what's giving the strength to the fabric. Also very particular with this kind of nylon silicone sewing or making a tent. The seams are not taped. First off, the silicone is very slippery, so not many tapes would even attach to the material. Instead, the yarn is swelling up when it's raining. So the rain makes the yarn to swell up, and that is actually blocking those small holes that the needle made when these seams were sewn. So initially they say when it's starting to rain it might leak through a little bit, and then when the yarns are swollen up it's gonna be waterproofed. I have never had an experience where the seams would have leaked even initially. In my experience it's always been weatherproof in any condition really. So nylon with silicone on both sides and no taped seams, and polyester tent with polyurethane coating and taped seams. I'm still amazed that this one has managed to hold up for 20 years. Questionable though, because it hasn't been waterproof in many years, whereas this one is now 7-8 years old, and what I have been reading on the forums is that these will hold up for decades. Best part with this particular brand, Hilleberg, is that it's a family-owned company and they are made in the Baltic countries, so you can send off your tent for repairs or even just ask for spare parts if there is an issue with your tent. Also, each one of the Hilleberg tents are made by one person, so the name of the person who has made the tent is actually in one of those labels inside the tent. So, two different ways of materials. One is a premium material and one is a very budget material. So things that are good to know before buying your tent, maybe your first tent even.